Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. You find me on the M56 this morning, heading into North Wales, where I'm going to do my latest of my UK bike tours. I've been wanting to come back to Wales for ages, much underrated part of the world for motorcycling. And annoyingly, the weather forecast was lovely earlier in the week for this part of Wales when I planned this. And then I travelled up yesterday and it was still looking okay. Then I get up in my hotel this morning and the weather forecast now is absolutely pants the next few days. So I've just not been lucky at all with my tours this year. Normally I get at least one where the weather plays ball, but this year they've all been rubbish, so a little bit disappointed about that. But nonetheless, I'm still going to have a crack at this, so stick around and stay tuned for the next few minutes, and I'll explain to you the route that I'm going to do, and then let's go and check out North Wales. So I've just crossed the border into Wales. I'm now in Flintshire, and sadly the weather hasn't improved at all, but I've got a full tank of fuel now, so that's good. And I said I'd talk about this route that I'm doing. Well, this particular route is not from my usual source, the Bikers Britain book, but this actually is from a magazine that I subscribe to called Adventure Bike Rider. It's a magazine I've been subscribing to for about 4 years or so, and as the title suggests, it's all about adventure bikes, and that covers everything from a bit of green laning on things like the Honda CRF, which is why I started buying the magazine, and also things like, you know, big adventure bikes, so up to the big KTMs and stuff. But not only does it talk about motorcycles in there, but it also gives you reviews of various trips that people have done around the world, as well as some intel on local green lanes, and also some trips in the UK, which this was one in the last edition, a North Wales tour. So I'm actually coming at it from a slightly different direction to it says in the magazine, and I'm going to do it in the opposite direction as well to what it says in the magazine. So I'm actually heading for Betws-y-coed now, which is where I'm going to start, and then it's basically a tour of Snowdonia. So I'm hoping I'll get most of it done today. I might have to abridge it slightly, just because I want to basically head south during the day and not end up back at Bala Lake or round about there, which the actual route does. And also, of course, it depends what I can see with the visibility being a bit poor. But hopefully the weather is going to pick up a little bit this afternoon, and it should be a good trip. So stick around, stay tuned, let's see what Snowdonia National Park's got to offer. I'll tell you what, I don't half hate the traffic that we have in Blighty. My trip up here on the M6 was an absolute nightmare. There's 50-mile-an-hour stretches of the M6 at the moment, and not only that, it was a Friday afternoon, so it was absolutely solid the whole way, and I was filtering for about 46 miles. It was horrible, and it was raining, and I've got a full load up on the bike. It was just thoroughly unpleasant. Now here I am coming into what is supposed to be a fairly sparsely populated part of the country, and it's like this, absolutely chocker. When I was deciding where to come this week, it was a toss-up between coming here and heading over to France to try and find some better weather. Kind of wishing I'd gone to France now. Anyway, let's not be too depressed. I have been to Snowdonia many times before, and it's usually lovely, so why shouldn't it be this time? I absolutely hate this sort of riding. There's no joy at all to be had from this. You need eyes up your backside, because anybody could pull out at any minute. You don't make much progress. I'm getting wet, and it's miserable. Thank you. Parting like Moses, thank you, sir. I must say, they do make room for you quite nicely here in Wales. Maybe they're a bit more bike friendly. Oh, I've been so unlucky with my bike trips this year. You just think if you picked weather at random in August, you'd get some half decent weather, wouldn't you? Here we are. Third trip of the year, third one that's been absolutely bedraggled with the weather. A little clean. One thing that has had a good test in these recent wet tours I've been doing are these new tyres that I've put on the GS, the Avon Spirit STs, the new sport touring tyres that I even released this year. Doing really well so far. I can see no signs of wear on them at all, and they really seem to be pretty good in the wet as well. Often when you're doing this sort of thing, you slip and slide on these white lines, but I've not felt that with these tyres on, which is nice. It'll be interesting to see how long they last. But I've put a good few thousand on them already since I had them fitted, and yeah, pretty pleased with them. So I've got 38 miles to run to Betws-y-coed, which is the official start point of my tour of Snowdonia. So certainly I'll be there within the hour. And I must just apologise to all Welsh speakers for the duration of this talk, because I don't speak Welsh at all, and there are some real tongue twister names to get my tongue round, and I'm going to get them all wrong, so I apologise in the first instance for any mispronunciations I may have on this talk, and I imagine they'll all be mispronounced. So this is a good way to get a bit more speed on the motorway. Stick behind the ambulance. Obviously everybody's clearing out of his way, so suddenly my filtering has got a lot safer, so I'm just following him. Got to be a bit careful, of course, because you can't see around him, and people do tend to tuck in behind them as well, but it's given me a useful escape from the traffic for a while. Now this is starting to look a bit more like the Wales I was hoping. Check out that view over there. Fantastic. I'm going to be turning off this road in 5 miles or so, so hopefully the scenery is going to start to get a bit more spectacular generally. And not only that, it's stopped raining. Things are looking up. Wow. Absolutely stonking. Yeehaw! The bike tour is back on. Oh, that's better. Off the main road now, and I've lost the traffic, which is much more preferable, I have to say. We just settle back and enjoy the journey now. So Betws-y-coed, where I'm heading for to start the route, actually means something like prayers in the wood, or prayer house in the wood, I believe it literally translates to. It's only a small place. I love this Araf slow written in the road. I love the fact that here in Wales, I know it's probably some law that everything has to be written in Welsh as well as English, so everything's doubled up on the road signs and everywhere else. I love that. And you can't help but resist trying to read them as well, even though without even a basic smattering of Welsh pronunciation I can't possibly hope to get them right. They just don't seem to use vowels. Yeah, looks like I need to turn up here. Dodgy. Sneaky little turn. Wow, the sun's coming out. Warmth. It's like summer. Brilliant. Oh, this is already so much better. It was all getting a bit grim before. Look at that, blue skies, twisty road. This is what we want. Oh, nice. I'll tell you what, no matter what the weather, Wales always delivers. It's a great place for biking. There's not really a bad road in Wales, as far as I'm concerned, once you get off the motorways and the main roads. You could spend a week just riding around these roads. Beautiful spot. Such an antidote to being on those other busy roads and the M6 and all that traffic and filtering and rain and horribleness. But I've stumbled across the scenic route purely by chance. Excellent. Doesn't come much more scenic than this, other than the back of this horse box thing, which isn't very scenic. And I take back what I said earlier about wishing I'd gone to France instead, because this is just wonderful. They're not even on the official tour yet. Brilliant. Hello, sir. Bit of KTM action, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the great thing about touring in Wales, if you're a UK-based biker, is the fact that no matter where you are in the UK, it doesn't take that long to get to Wales, because it's sort of centrally positioned on the side of England. So there's no excuse not to come. You don't need to take, you know, a whole week off work or something just to get here, like you might have to do if you want to do Scotland from the south. You know, even if you live in sort of the southeast as I do, You just need a couple of days. You can get here in half a day, have a really good day's touring, and then back home again in half a day. And you don't get scenery like this in the southeast, or indeed roads as nice as this, as empty as this. And once again, these last couple of days, the big GS has proven to me what a brilliant bike it is. The ideal tool for this sort of riding in all sorts of inclement weathers and road conditions. She got me here safely and in comfort. And then when you get here, you can really chuck her around the corners if you want to. Comfortable, powerful, competent. Great machine, love it. Wow, isn't the world a better place when the sun comes out? Right, I've got just 8 miles to go to Betws-y-coed now, and I'm rather hoping that that old ancient prayer house has been converted into a nice tea room, because my stomach's telling me it's lunchtime. My first sheep of the trip. Sure, will be the first of many. Now there's a view. Unfortunately the cloud is down over the tops of the mountains, but you get the general idea. I imagine that was Snowden in the cloud, but we'll be getting a lot closer to it later. Wow, spectacular, is he, Mo? This is going to be one of those trips where I just run out of words that basically mean spectacular, because it is absolutely stonkingly gorgeous up here. As Bruce Smart would say, would you look at that? Look at that. So I've come to my first little town in the foothills of Snowdon. It's called something like Linrust, LLWRNWSST, something like that. Might have got the spelling wrong, but once again, very little in the way of vowels to get your tongue round. Looking for the A470, and then I'll be looking for something to eat. Betws-y-coed. It's interesting, it's saying that way. The sat-nav is saying that way. Interesting conundrum. Looking at the sat-nav, yeah, there's 2 ways there, but this one is the scenic one to the left, so let's take that one. Although, to be fair, they're probably all pretty scenic. Right, just about to come into Betws-y-coed, and just there, look on the left, bit of waterfall action. I think not far from here, in fact you walk from Betws-y-coed, you get to what's called Swallow Falls, which are probably the most famous of the Welsh waterfalls. That may even be the end of it for all I know. Well, this is all very splendid. I'm thinking park up, maybe ditch the waterproofs, find a sandwich, see if that works. Car park and helipad, that's handy. Oh, it's always good to stretch the old legs, isn't it? Whew. I wonder. Right then, what's this weather going to do? Shall I ditch the... Let's be optimistic and ditch the waterproofs. So this might actually be a good point to take you through the basic route that I'm going to be doing. So if I just show you on my tank bag here, this is the page out of the magazine Adventure Bike Rider. So we're here, Betws-y-coed. I'm going to do this route in reverse. So next I'm going to be going to Llanberis, which is up here, and then I'm going to be doing Carnarvon here, and then Betws-y-coed, something like that, wherever that's called. Back down this way, sort of a figure of 8. Down towards Capel Curig, Betws-y-coed, and then what comes after that? I'm just looking at this routing down here. Basically I'm heading down this way, and I'm going to head up at the end of the day to McKinleth, I think is where I then head south to my hotel. So I think I'm gonna cut out this bit around Bala, depending how I do on timing, but there's quite a lot to do in a day here. Okay, lunchtime now. Dirt bikes, obviously very popular around these parts. Great trails to be had in Wales. Anyway, that was a splendid little lunch. Just what I needed. Sausage sandwich, never goes wrong with that. So next on the route is, looking at this, it's from Betws-y-coed, it's Llanberis, and hopefully that's going to take us along this same route here. So we'll just stick that into the sat nav. I don't tend to put whole routes in, I just go point to point. Seems to work for me. Just check that it's going to give us the same route. So I'm looking for this. Yeah, exactly the same. Go. Okay, it's only 16 miles. Brilliant. Okay, should be a great next leg to the trip. Blimey, it's proper sunshine now. I'm tempted to get the sunglasses out, but as soon as I do that, a bit like taking the waterproofs off, could all go horribly wrong. So this next section of the trip should be pretty spectacular in terms of views, because we're going to be going around the foot of Snowdon itself. Now I did look up what Snowden meant the other day before I came away on the trip, and there are a few theories on it, but the favoured one at the moment is it's derived from a Latin word that literally just means the Highlands. So that sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Goodness me, check out this traffic. I have to say Betws-y-coed turned out to be a very nice little place. Lots of pubs and restaurants here. Well worth stopping off if you're going to do a little tour. Lots of outdoorsy type shops, as you'd expect. Saw a lot of bikers as well. Super popular spot, Snowdon, here with bikers, and hopefully I'll show you why. Oh, what an amazing church. Unusual stumpy design, I like it. Maybe that was the prayer house, or whatever it was called, from which it gets its name. Because something to point out is I have come here in peak holiday season time. It's the middle of August, even though the weather has been grim up until this point, and that I imagine is why so many people here. Hello. Useful bit of overtaking lane here. Lovely road as well. Past this caravan would be useful before I lose the overtaking lane. Excellent, hopefully a bit of a clear run. Swallow Falls Hotel, so I guess Swallow Falls is probably on this end then. I remember going there when I was a kid, I was about 3 when I last went to Swallow Falls on a family holiday. Goodness me. A mere 45 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Actually it was 46 years ago, and I don't remember it like it was yesterday. Ugly house in 200 yards, I think that said. Excellent. Well, that'll be it then. Yeah, I see what they mean. No disrespect to the owners, but it is quite ugly. Oh my word. That ugly house tea room. Yep, I get that. Oh, what cracking riding this is now. Now the sun has decided to come out and the rain's gone away. This is what I had in mind when I was thinking of a Welsh riding weekend. And there she is, Snowdon, look at that. Splendid. Snowdon, of course, being Wales's highest mountain, is something like, well, there's another bike here. Hello, not nodders. It's something like 3,000 feet, 1,000 metres, which doesn't make it massively huge in the scheme of mountains, but it's certainly one of the bigger ones in the UK. There is of course a railway that runs up it, the Snowden Mountain Railway, which if I remember right I went up it a few years back. My brother-in-law doesn't live too far away from here, and went up with him and the missus, and it was quite expensive, but I think they might have refurbished it since then. Still probably expensive, but I think the coffee's better at the top. Campsite for hardy souls. I've got myself booked into a rather nice hotel this evening and I'm looking forward to settling down in that a bit later.